Discover the best in local business news with a subscription to the IBJ and Inside Indiana Business. For a limited time, try us out for just $1 a week for 8 weeks. Claim this limited time offer now at ibj.com/trial offer.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the morning of Monday, February 16th, 2026. I'm Alex Brown. With less than 100 days until 33 drivers start their engines for the 110th Indianapolis 500, leaders at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway are shifting into gear, including also preparing for the first ever Freedom 250 on the streets of Washington, D.C. IMS and IndyCar president Doug Bowles.
To put IndyCars, our product, on a stage like that is just a great opportunity for us to showcase. Can't wait to see the images with the Washington Monument, which has Indiana limestone in it, obviously, and the Capitol, and just enjoying that, taking that product in a place that it's never been before. Really excited about that opportunity.
You can watch the full interview with Bowles from Inside Indiana Business Television at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. The Holy Cross College Board of Trustees has extended the contract of President Marco Clark through 2030. Clark has served in the role since 2022, and the board said Friday the extension affirms its confidence in the college's trajectory and future, as well as Clark's vision and leadership. Indiana revenue collections surpassed the most recent estimates for the month of January. The Indiana State Budget Agency said Friday that general fund revenues last month totaled $2.2 billion, which was $5.8 million higher than the April 2025 forecast, or 0.3%. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick, coming to you this week from Northwest Indiana, Jeffersonville, Muncie, South Bend, in downtown Evansville, Terre Haute, Fort Wayne, Richmond, from one of the state's key entrepreneurial and innovation hubs, 16 Tech. Inside Indiana Business, Indiana's business news leader.
Indiana lawmakers are considering legislation that might make data centers more palatable to local governments, where officials are increasingly under pressure from constituents to block such projects. IIB's Aubriana Herron has more.
House Bill 1333, authored by Republican Representative Kendall Culp of Rensselaer, would require data center developers that receive sales tax exemptions to give 1% of the abatement to local governments. The legislation is the only data center-related bill advancing this session as debates, packed public meetings, and online vitriol surrounding data centers continue across the state. Opponents say the state shouldn't subsidize projects that use large amounts of power and create relatively few jobs. In November, 3 Indiana counties had enacted moratoriums on data centers. As of last week, that number has doubled. Local officials say they need time to come up with regulations for data centers to manage the energy and water usage concerns and aesthetic complaints. Culp's original version of House Bill 1333 called for revoking sales tax exemptions for data center developers. The milder version that moved to the Senate has been amended numerous times. Matt Greller, CEO of Accelerate Indiana Municipalities, said the dedicated revenue stream the bill would provide could be significant for smaller communities. Whether the 1% payment on taxes that would otherwise be exempted is enough to change the narrative around data centers at the local level remains to be seen. The bill has been sent to the Senate Utilities Committee but has not yet received a hearing. Aubriana Herron, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
The virus known as bird flu has been detected once again on a commercial poultry farm in northern Indiana. This time, a commercial meat duck facility in Elkhart County with a flock size of more than 10,700 has been impacted, according to the Indiana State Board of Animal Health. This marks the first detection of highly pathogenic avian influenza in Indiana since January 22nd. Since October 9th, more than 900,000 birds have been depopulated on commercial poultry farms across Elkhart, LaGrange, and Noble counties. Those 3 counties represent one of the most densely populated areas in the U.S. for poultry production, with millions of birds being raised across northern Indiana for commercial duck and egg production. Amplify Bloomington's CEO John Fernandez is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.
Curious about what's shaping law in Indiana? From court reforms and NIL rights to mental health courts and energy commissions, the Indiana Lawyer Podcast breaks down the biggest legal issues of our time. I'm your host, reporter Maura Johnson. Join me every other week for your insider guide to what matters in law and why it impacts you. Subscribe now in your favorite podcast app or at ibjpodcasts.com.
The IBJ Media Podcast Network is the soundtrack of a growing state. Indiana is on the move, and you can hear it happening on the IBJ Media Podcast Network. We bring you the voices at the center of our economy, our courts, our companies, and our communities. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation that's building Indiana's future. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit ibjpodcasts.com.